voodoo practices are, for the most part, they're pretty calm, at least in terms of on the public scale. The only thing that we would ever really see publicly was were what were called revenants, which were implied to be dead spirits that had come back and were now wandering the streets, I guess. I never really understood what the purpose was, but essentially it involved somebody dressing up in a crazy costume that you couldn't see their body, and there would be a crowd around them, and they'd go down the streets. And we saw that from time to time, but it wasn't very often. And they would dance, and people would run around, and it was a very interesting thing to watch. We never really understood exactly what was going on, though. For the most part, voodoo, the most common interpretation that people gave me was that voodoo is about protection and enhancing one's possibilities, was the interpretation most people gave. That a lot of the sacrifices that they would offer, which were usually flower sacrifices, or occasionally animal sacrifices, but they were mostly about protection against evil spirits, or protection against sorcerers, or people trying to curse them, protection or support in a business venture, in a relationship. That seemed to be the most common goal of people practicing voodoo. And so because of that, you would see people who would wear special protection rings, or they would have certain talismans or symbols. The snakes are a big part of that culture. There are certain animals, certain plants that are more important than others, and snakes are pretty high on that list. And so even non-practitioners get kind of leery around snakes. And even if people that don't practice it, people that are strong in the church, do believe that there's something to voodoo. There's something in there that is doing something. And it's the little bit I saw was that voodoo actually, once you've gotten far enough into it, it starts becoming a series of I would almost compare them to covenants. That I promise this to get this, and I got to keep what I said. If not, I don't get what I want. And when the people that are very far into it, they'll often have facial markings. They'll have cuts that have healed over, so they're visible. Often here or here. The ones on the cheeks are the most visible ones, obviously. And it was very interesting to see people marking themselves in that way, setting themselves apart. Now, in my opinion, that's not the right way to set oneself apart, but it's interesting to see the parallels that exist even between voodoo and the gospel culture as well. Maybe gospel culture isn't the right term, though.